These are the two most wanted smart rings of the year, side by side. Which one is the better choice for monitoring and improving your health or your physical and emotional well-being? Oura Ring 5 or RingConn Generation 3? Let's inspect. Hi, great to meet you. I'm Michael. Well, technically my name is Michael, but whichever fits you. And here we are, two of the strongest smart ring contenders out there. The Oura's 5th generation against RingConn's 3rd generation. I've already given you detailed reviews of each one separately, but now is the time to put them head to head. Find out which one has the edge for health tracking accuracy, battery life, durability, the app experience, and a lot more, so that you can decide which one is actually the right for you. Quick context before we start. Oura announced Ring 5 in the late May this year. It's the smallest smart ring Oura has ever made, about 40% smaller than the Ring 4. And it started at $399, going up to $499 for the premium finishes, on top of the $5.99 monthly membership that you have to pay. RingConn Generation 3 sits at flat $349, no subscription attached. Keep those numbers in mind because they matter a lot by the time we get to the verdict. So let's get started. Let's begin with health tracking, and I will share this part based on my own lifestyle. I do sports twice a week usually. My daily step count is somewhere between 6,000 and 12,000 depending on the day, and I am in fairly good health for being 40 years old. Sounds way too much already. So heart rate tracking here for both is accurate, and most of the time the data is reliable. RingConn's new generation is strikingly close to what Oura provides, and we all know the Finnish brand is considered by many to be the best in class here. Well, now it has a serious competition. In some cases, I'd even say RingConn's sleep tracking algorithm is a touch better because Oura occasionally logs 1 or 2 short wake-ups during the night that, as far as I could tell, never actually happened. Day by day, though, the results are strikingly similar, and to me there is still no other consumer-grade wearable that can disrupt either of their leadership in this category. RingConn does have an algorithm for detecting sleep apnea. I don't suffer from such one, so I can't really tell you whether it performs well or not. There also is HRV measuring, which is very precise on both rings, and temperature is shown as a baseline rather than raw number, so you can be alerted to deviations instead of having to learn which values are supposed to be good. That's really the whole philosophy behind these trackers. You wear them for a few days, they establish your baseline, and they flag when something drifts away from it. There's one part of this I consider among the most important, the insights. That digested piece of information that tells you whether you should take it easy today or whether you can push your limits. Oura is still a bit more polished here, but RingConn has made very significant progress and is getting close to parity. Here, I want to bring up something that I've mentioned before. About a year ago, thanks to Oura's alerts, I made it to the hospital in time for a surgery because the ring kept flagging inflammation in my body that I needed to pay attention to. If I had waited for a day or two longer, which I would have done without a ring, the consequences would have been far worse. So, being warned about a potential health issue early is really important. Right now, RingConn does something close to what Whoop does. It tells you metrics and which of them are outside your usual scope and range. And that's a useful clue, but not quite the kind of alarming alert that makes you stop and pay closer attention. Oura, on the other hand, has been excellent at telling me when something was straining my body. And here's another example. That time, it was a bad throat inflammation. I woke up feeling slightly off, checked the ring, and the values confirmed it immediately. And I'm adding references from Fitbit Air and Phoenix 8 about the very same condition so that you have a better idea how they differ from each other. On the flip side, RingConn offers vascular trends tracking, and I believe it's actually trustworthy. It can't replace a dedicated blood pressure monitor, but it works well as an additional layer of awareness, and that can be practical for a lot of people. Oura answered with its own health radar features on the Ring 5, blood pressure signals for overnight patterns, and a nightmare breathing view that tracks sleep-related breathing disturbances over a rolling 30-day window. There's also the new GLP-1 Insights feature, which I haven't been able to test myself, but seems to be getting positive feedback from the community, and it's without question a very smart marketing move on Oura's part. Keep in mind, some of these features are not available globally yet, and at the moment of making the video, they're present for the USA region only. Bottom line on accuracy, both rings produce very similar readouts, both are extremely reliable, and I can't quite point to a cleaner winner over here. If you're planning to track workouts with either of these rings, let me remind you up front that they're not true fitness trackers. In some cases, the data can be impressively accurate, but it's not realistic to expect them to match a dedicated sport watch like the Phoenix. Side by side, RingConn's number look noticeably different from what a Garmin Phoenix 8 records, and so does Oura's in most cases. Funny enough, I remember Oura data being slightly better around a year ago, though that might just have been a wrong impression on my part. The real news here is about RingConn. My biggest complaint with Generation 2 was that it simply wasn't sensitive enough, and most workouts went unnoticed. Understand, auto-workout detection was vague at best. Gen 3 is a turning point. Almost everything I did in terms of sports got detected this time. But before we celebrate, two things worth flagging. There is still no housework mode in the activity list, something that Oura does offer. And if you've already synced a workout from another source into Health Connect, RingConn can no longer log it on its end, so your only option is to dismiss the duplicate entry, which is a bit annoying and is going to be missing from the RingConn app. Though, if this is your only tracking device, you will never run into this problem. But if you also wear a smartwatch, you eventually will. Apart from that, results are again very close, with some workouts favoring RingConn and others favoring Oura. Another round, another tie. Let's move on to design and build quality. And here we finally have a clear winner. RingConn has traditionally been the smaller, the slimmer, the less intrusive smart ring of the two. Gen 3 is technically smaller than its predecessor, feels better on the finger, it comes in some exciting new finishes. I don't know if the smaller size or the quality of the coating, but it does seem to pick up fewer scratches than before. The inside looks properly techy too, arguably the more exciting looking ring of the pair, though having titanium both inside and out should, on paper, mean better long-term durability. RingConn says they use titanium or stainless steel with an epoxy resin layer, which I suspect is partly there to make it sound more premium. It's not the same construction as Oura's, and there is nothing inherently wrong with that, even if some people will call it the inferior option. The fact is, the Oura Ring 5 is surprising in terms of size. It measures 6.09mm wide and 2.28mm thick, starting at around 2 grams, against RingConn's Generation 3's 2.3mm thickness and 2.5 to 3.5 grams. If I can borrow a line from the biggest condom brand out there, this is the closest thing to feeling nothing on your finger though. And that's exactly why I believe it will pick far fewer scratches over time, something I honestly didn't consider enough when reviewing the previous generations. The condition of my wife's Oura 4, which is less than 10 months old, backs this up pretty clearly. Another small but real difference, RingConn has 2 tiny bumps around the sensors, while the Oura is almost perfectly flat, just keeping a small marker on the outside so that you can position it correctly on your finger. There's also a sizing advantage worth mentioning. RingConn Generation 3 goes up to size 15, while Oura Ring 5 tops out at size 13, so if you've got larger fingers, that range matters. But yes, we have a clear winner in this round, and it's the new Oura. Few notes about the tech specs and the hardware. Well, these rings are essentially MCU plus a battery and a handful of sensors, which are packed into a tiny good-looking shell. Without knowing the exact chip models, I think it's hard to give definitive verdict. Visually, the Oura appears to be running a new sensor stack, and I would assume RingConn made similar upgrades given how much more accurate it is now. Tech these days is about the synergy between hardware and the software, not just raw hardware specs, something that I guess Google Fitbit Air has proven recently, but that's a story for a separate review. Here, though, because RingConn now offers sleep apnea monitoring and blood pressure trends, even if not equivalent to a dedicated BP device. I think that's enough to even the score again. The battery test is very simple. Full charge, identical usage pattern on both rings. When Oura drops to 49%, RingConn is still sitting at 59%. That works out to roughly 10% daily consumption on Oura versus about 8% on RingConn Generation 3, which translates to RingConn lasting around 3 extra days per charge. Officially, Oura is rated for 6 to 9 days, while RingConn Generation 3 is rated for 10 to 14 days, with some real-world testing pushing it even closer to 16. RingConn also ships with a nice charging case included in the box, not something you have to buy separately for $99 like the Oura's optional case. Another clear win for RingConn Generation 3. The next round, about app experience and support, is another equalizer, though. RingConn's app is now almost great, solid insights, well-presented data, and the ability to switch between different views, and also these detailed charts with statistics stretching over time. Genuinely lovely to use, but in my opinion, the Oura app is still a notch better, and I think this is the main reason people are willing to keep paying for the subscription. And one more fact in RingConn's favor, there's actually a vibration motor inside the ring. Right now it notifies you about system events, but I believe sooner or later it will also handle your phone's notifications. My yearly support ticket test also went smoothly this time. I flagged that the SPO2 sensor wasn't working, and both companies got back to me with a fix fairly quickly, though Oura seems to lean heavily on AI agents for support now, which, considering you're paying a subscription, wasn't my favorite part of the experience. It's also worth noting that getting a replacement ring is much easier with Oura. With RingConn, if your battery dies after the warranty period runs out, you may simply have to buy a new ring outright. I really hope both companies introduce some kind of renewal or recycling program soon, because the category needs one. And now, the part that you've probably been waiting for, value. Right now is actually the best time to buy an Oura Ring, but not the 5, the 4. I've seen the brushed silver finish at a massive discount already. And about the verdict, first, to the existing Oura users, if you already have the 4 and you're happy with it, just keep it. There's nothing meaningful that you're missing from a technical standpoint by staying on the 4, even on the 3. But if your 4 feels too bulky on your finger, that's a legitimate reason to upgrade. I loved the chunkier feel on the older Ring at first, and I really enjoyed it. But I didn't realize how much more comfortable and practical the 5 actually is until I tried it. And in my case, it gets a lot less scratches because of that. To the RingConn crowd, Gen 3 is brilliant across the board. It continues to be the best in class for battery life, but it has lost its design edge to Oura since it's no longer the slimmer ring out of the two. Still remains the more practical choice overall. No subscription, an excellent battery-backed included case, and the same level of accuracy you would get from Oura. I think buying a RingConn device is essentially like buying Oura, accepting slightly less polished app experience and saving roughly $72 a year in the process. Just keep in mind that the batteries in both of these rings likely are going to degrade after 18 to 24 months of active use, which is a problem for the entire category and still needs to be solved somehow. Truth is, I'm still not sure which one I'm going to keep for myself. Maybe Oura, because it already holds more than 2 years worth of my health data. Or maybe I can keep the RingConn because I'm not paying for a subscription and that feels very refreshing. Or maybe you have a better reason than either of mine. Let's talk about it in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and remember, buy new tech only if you're sure it will actually bring value to your life, not just because it looked cool in this or another video. It's your money, and your money is in a way equivalent to a piece of your lifetime. Be careful how you spend it. Take care. I'm Michael, and I'm gonna see you soon.